Welcome back to Offroad Outlaws, y'all, and the map we are on in this video, in case y'all are curious, is called Cliffside Trails, and it's a realistic trail riding map that's really good if y'all want to check it out. Now, what we're going to be talking about in this video is sort of a continuation of a couple of the previous videos that we've done in regards to the next and hopefully upcoming Offroad Outlaws updates. Now, as you know, I'm always digging for as much info as I can possibly find in regards to future Offroad Outlaws updates for y'all. And while details lately have been a little bit sparse, there were some interactions that happened in a Offroad Outlaws Facebook group that were kind of interesting to me. Now, someone did ask recently, are we ever going to get any future Offroad Outlaws updates? I'm just curious. And the answer that they got was yes. Now, no details were offered other than that, other than just a confirmation of yes. However, it's really nice to not only see that they are far from done updating this game, and also it's really nice to see that, in a way, you know, when they're being very sort of, like, specific about, yes, we're gonna confirm this, but we're not gonna talk any details at all, that almost makes me think, oh, so does that mean you're working on stuff that's, like, bigger than just, you know, maybe one new thing here or one new thing here? Who knows what they're working on? And whenever a developer is very specific about, like, we're gonna keep this info very close, you know what I mean? We're gonna offer you the answer of, yes, it's happening, but no other details are going to be provided right now. That gets me very excited, because that really does mean that the sky is the limit as far as what we could expect in the future updates. Now, I've also been doing a lot of research into what I see around the community in terms of what people seem to want for Offroad Outlaws, and what a lot of people seem to want seems to be quite a wide range, quite a wide spectrum, which I think is actually really cool, because it shows that Offroad Outlaws has a really diverse community of players that use the game for different things and play the game for different reasons. Because sometimes I see people heavily requesting, you know, mudbog ATVs, mudbog side-by-sides, and, you know, and then show trucks to use to tow them around. However, I also see a lot of people requesting things like they want semi-trucks, they want more commercial vehicles, they want more things in that regard, which those two separate categories could not be more different from each other, and I actually think that's a good thing, because when you have a community that wants things that are so different, you actually end up with a really diverse player base, and I think it really goes a long way to keeping the game alive and also keeping the game's community alive, and it helps push the game into new realms. And I think it's also important to talk about a topic that we touched on in one of our previous videos, and that is, would you like to see Offroad Outlaws itself continue to get more and more updates and just evolve over time? Or would you rather see a totally new game, like a new installment in the Offroad Outlaws series, that kind of starts fresh with a whole host of new features? Now, obviously, this is something that people are going to be quite split on. I've seen a lot of people say, no, I'm not interested in them doing another game. I just want Offroad Outlaws to continue to be updated as is. Whereas I've also seen some other people say, well, actually, I would love to see this game get basically entirely rebuilt from the ground up and, you know, re-enter the space as a different game that maybe could give them more room to build on. I don't know. You know, this game has been around for many years now. It's gone through many updates, and frankly is a far cry from, well, in some ways, not in all ways, but it is a far cry in some ways from what it was when it first launched. And I don't say that in a bad way. I actually say that in a very good way, because this game has continued to just evolve over and over again, and it's done wonders, I think, for the off-road gaming community, especially the off-road gaming community in the mobile space. Now, I do want to address another group of people that I see in the comments sometimes, and those are the people that say, you know, oh, it's this crappy mobile game again, it's never going to be as good as, like, you know, insert X other game here, these graphics look awful, blah blah blah. And here's the thing. I understand that, yes, the game is constrained by the fact that it has to run on mobile devices, and so the graphics, for example, are not going to be console level or PC level. However, I think this game has done wonders for the off-road gaming space in the way that you can do a lot of things in this game that you still can't do in basically any other game. There are things that you can do in this game that you can't do in SnowRunner. There are things you can do in this game that you can't do in, say, BeamNG. There are things you can do in this game that you can't do in GTA. And all of it is literally able to be run on Android and iOS devices. So I'm willing, more than willing, to make some graphical sacrifices. You know, if we're gonna get all of these other things, graphics are not the #1 concern. And in that space, though, it would be nice to be able to turn the graphics up even further if you are on a very, very new or very, very high-end device. So the ability to do that maybe in a future update would be really, really cool, but it's far from the most important things in this game, in my opinion. Because for me, when it comes to what I value out of a game, I have always valued gameplay experience over graphics, and I know that some people feel as though graphics and gameplay experience need to be on the same level, and some people even will prioritize graphics above gameplay experience. I'm a little bit more on the other end of that because I think there is a part of me that remembers, you know, say for example, maybe I'm going to date myself here a little bit, but I remember growing up like in the 90s and having games that, you know, you want to talk about graphics back then, you know, think about a Need for Speed game in the 90s. It looks worse than a phone game in today's standards. However, those were some of the most fun games I ever played. And yes, I do realize that nostalgia plays a role in that and, you know, this, that, and the other. However, I've gone back and played some of those games in the not too distant past, and you know, the gameplay is still fun. Even though, sure, the graphics look like they're running on a toaster, the graphics are not the concern of the game. The fact that those games were fun, they made me smile, they gave me a great experience. And that, at the end of the day, bringing it back around to Offroad Outlaws, that's what I believe most of this game's community play this game for, and it's that accessible, fun experience that they can just, you know, pull out their phone and enjoy whenever and wherever they're at. You know, maybe they're on the bus, maybe they're sitting in a coffee shop, maybe they're like, I don't know, maybe it got slow at work, so they pulled out Offroad Outlaws and ran a few trails, you know what I mean? It's things like that, it's scenarios like that that make me glad that this is a mobile game, and I think that that really does kind of, like, sort of dismantle a little bit of that argument around, like, oh, this game is terrible solely because it's a mobile game, and I really don't understand that argument. It seems like such a useless argument, in my opinion, and maybe I'm just going off on a rant here, but let me know if you agree or disagree with me in the comments below, because, again, I want to have conversations about all these things in the comments. I'm not here to just put my opinion about that out there and then be like, and I'm not gonna talk about it, because I say these things in order to create conversation because I want to talk about them. I don't say these things to be like, well, my point on this is correct and every other point is incorrect. That's not why I put these topics out there in videos. I put these topics out there in videos so we can all have discussions about them in the comment section, because I genuinely enjoy those conversations. I think they're fun to have. And while we are kind of nearing the end of the video here, I do want to give a massive shout out to this map. This map, oh my god. And now, obviously, y'all have been seeing what's been going on screen, unless you've been having the video play in the background, which is completely fine as well. But if you haven't, take a look at this map. This is, once again, Cliffside Trails, and it is amazing, especially if you have a kind of, you know, semi-realistic build like I have with this Tundra here. It's a genuinely fun map to just kind of get lost in, roam around, drive, enjoy. It's a lot of slower-paced trailing, and if you're into that, you're gonna love this place, especially if you're looking for a map in Offroad Outlaws that feels kind of SnowRunner, MudRunner-esque. This definitely gives off that vibe, and it's got trails of varying difficulty. Because if you saw earlier on in the video, there was one trail that we tried to go down, or rather go up where it was too steep for us and it was too narrow for us, and we ended up doing a backflip and landing on our lid, and it was not a fun time. It was not a fun time for anybody involved, me or my truck. So I definitely would not recommend taking a vehicle like this up a trail like that. I would definitely recommend bringing back something that's a little bit more built if you're gonna be attempting trails like that. But this thing does a really good job for most of the trails on this map. This obstacle right here gave me a good bit of challenge. I definitely had to back up and attempt it a few different times, had to try a couple of different lines, a couple of different approaches, but after messing around with it, it was definitely a fun obstacle. And I would really, really, really recommend adding this map to your favorites if you are looking for more realistic trail riding maps. Now, if y'all enjoyed this video or enjoyed any of the topics we talked about in this video, let me know any other thoughts and opinions that you may have in the comments down below. And if you're new around here, hit that subscribe button and turn those notifications on, and I will see y'all next time. Talk to y'all later.